The candlelight flickered across the marble floor of the Florentine palazzo, casting elongated shadows that danced like conspirators in the dead of night. A man stood there, his silhouette sharp against the opulent tapestries, fingers tracing the edge of a velvet curtain as if testing the fabric of fate itself. The air carried the faint scent of aged leather from the bookshelves lining the walls, mingled with the subtle perfume of night-blooming jasmine wafting in from the open window. Outside, the Arno River whispered secrets to the bridges spanning its dark waters, while inside, the room pulsed with unspoken tension. He paused, his breath steady, eyes fixed on the woman across from him. Her gown a cascade of crimson silk that caught the light like spilled wine. She leaned against a carved oak table, her hand idly toying with a golden locket at her throat, the chain glinting with each subtle movement. Her gaze met his, curious yet guarded, a spark of intrigue flickering in her dark eyes. What was it about this encounter that felt so charged, so deliberate? He stepped closer, his voice low and measured, weaving words that seemed casual but landed with precision, drawing her in without her realizing the pull. The contradiction hung between them. She, a noble woman of influence, accustomed to suitors who fawned and flattered outright, now found herself lingering on his every syllable, her pulse quickening despite the cool evening breeze. Why did his presence command such attention, turning a simple conversation into a web of desire? As he spoke of distant travels and forgotten lore, her laughter echoed softly, genuine yet laced with something deeper, an unspoken yearning she couldn't quite name. The mystery deepened as he revealed fragments of his thoughts, each one a breadcrumb leading her further into his orbit, her defenses softening like wax under flame. Hours slipped by unnoticed, the moon climbing higher, bathing the room in silver hues that accentuated the flush on her cheeks. He watched her reactions closely, adjusting his tone, his gestures, as if orchestrating a silent symphony. She confided in him then, sharing vulnerabilities she guarded from the world, her voice trembling slightly with the thrill of exposure. Yet, in that vulnerability lay the enigma. Was this connection born of chance? Or had he engineered it from the shadows? The night wore on, their dialogue evolving into a dance of intellect and emotion, where every pause held weight, every glance a calculated invitation. By dawn's first light filtering through the shutters, she found herself entangled, her desires aligned with his unspoken agenda, the palazzo's grandeur fading into the background of this intimate conquest. What power did he wield that bent her will so subtly, making her crave what he offered without demand? The scene replayed in whispers through the city's corridors of power, a tale of influence cloaked in allure, where desire became the ultimate tool. And as the sun rose, illuminating the remnants of their encounter, a discarded glove, a half-empty goblet, he smiled faintly, knowing the game had only begun. This wasn't mere courtship, it was mastery, a strategy honed in the fires of ambition and human frailty. The woman's departure left an echo of her presence, her scent lingering like a promise unfulfilled, drawing him to reflect on the artistry of it all. How had he turned her indifference into fascination, her caution into surrender? It started with observation, the keen eye that noted her subtle cues, the way her fingers tightened on the locket when intrigue peaked, the slight tilt of her head when curiosity stirred. He mirrored them back, amplified just enough to resonate, creating a mirror of her own desires. The contradiction persisted. She believed herself in control, yet every step she took led deeper into his design. Sensory details etched the memory, the cool touch of marble underfoot, the warm glow of flames reflecting in her eyes, the faint rustle of silk as she shifted closer. Mystery wrapped around them like the fog rolling off the river, blurring lines between genuine affection and calculated pursuit. He had planted seeds of doubt in her mind about her current suitors, subtle comparisons that highlighted his uniqueness without overt criticism. Her laughter grew freer, her confidences more intimate, as the night unfolded its layers. By midnight, she spoke of dreams long buried, aspirations society deemed unfit for her station, and he listened with an intensity that made her feel seen, truly seen, for the first time. Yet, beneath that empathy lay strategy, each nod and affirmation steering her emotions toward alignment with his goals. The palazzo's clocks ticked onward, marking the inexorable pull of his influence. Dawn approached, and with it, a shift. She touched his arm lightly, a gesture laden with unspoken invitation, her eyes betraying the desire he had kindled. He withdrew just enough to heighten the tension, leaving her wanting more, the contradiction sharp, pursuit without chase, conquest without force. As she left, the door closing softly behind her, the room settled into silence, the candles guttering low. He remained, contemplating the web he had spun, threads of desire intertwined with ambition. This encounter, one of many, revealed the essence of power not in overt domination, but in the subtle manipulation of wants, turning hearts into instruments of one's will. The city's awakening sounds filtered in vendors calling, bells tolling, yet in his mind, the night's events replayed, a blueprint for greater designs. What if such tactics extended beyond one woman, beyond one night, into the realms of influence and legacy? The mystery lingered, a riddle wrapped in silk and shadow, promising revelations for those bold enough to unravel it. And so, the stage was set, the players positioned, desire, the unseen director, guiding every act, shifting seamlessly from that shadow palazzo to the core of what made such encounters possible. Let's delve into the Machiavellian strategies that underpin this art of influence. Niccolo Machiavelli, the Renaissance thinker whose name evokes cunning and ruthlessness, didn't pen treatises on romance, but his principles from The Prince translate eerily well to the dynamics of desire. At its heart lies the idea of appearing one way while acting another, a duality that captivates and controls. Consider how Machiavelli advised princes to seem merciful, faithful, humane, upright, and religious, yet be ready to discard these virtues when necessity demands. In the realm of attracting women, this manifests as projecting an image of genuine interest and vulnerability while strategically withholding to build tension. It's not about deception for its own sake, but about understanding human nature's cravings for connection, excitement, mystery, and leveraging them. Psychology reveals that women, like all people, respond to emotional stimuli rooted in evolutionary drives: security, novelty, status. Machiavelli's fox-like cunning teaches us to mimic these without fully delivering, creating a chase that feels organic. Picture a modern scenario. You're at a bustling cafe, steam rising from espresso cups, the hum of conversations blending with clinking silverware. You spot her across the room, engrossed in the book, her fingers absent-mindedly stirring her drink. Instead of approaching with blatant intent, you embody the prince's calculated approach. Observe first. Note her posture, the way she smiles faintly at certain passages, perhaps inferring her interest from the book's cover. Then, initiate contact indirectly. Comment on the ambiance, tied to something intriguing from history or current events, evoking Machiavelli's emphasis on fortuna and fortune and virtue working in tandem. Your words aren't rehearsed lines, but adaptive probes, gauging her responses to steer the interaction. If she mentions travel, weaving a tale of your own adventures, laced with subtle challenges that mirror her aspirations, making her feel challenged yet understood. This is domination through empathy, where you dominate not by force, but by aligning her desires with your narrative. Emotionally, it's about creating peaks and valleys, compliments that land like sparks, followed by playful teasing that withdraws affirmation, heightening her investment. Machiavelli warned against being loved or feared excessively. Balance is key, be desired, but not possessed too easily. As the conversation flows, introduce elements of scarcity. Hint at other commitments, other worlds she glimpses but can't fully enter yet. Her mind races, filling gaps with idealizations. A psychological trap where absence breeds fondness. Dive deeper into the feminine psyche. Studies in evolutionary psychology suggest women seek providers who display resourcefulness and social savvy, traits Machiavelli prized in leaders. Embody this by demonstrating subtle leadership, suggest a change of venue, lead without commanding, making decisions that enhance her experience. The immersion intensifies as you touch on shared vulnerabilities, perhaps recounting a personal setback, overcome with cunning, paralleling Machiavelli's rise from exile. She opens up, her guards lowering, emotions surging in waves you control. Tactically, employ social proof. Mention alliances or networks casually, elevating your status without boasting, much like a prince showcasing his court. The rhythm builds, conversation ebbing and flowing like a river under your guidance, each turn deepening her emotional entanglement. By evening's end, as lights dim and the cafe empties, she's hooked. Desiring more of the world, you've painted one where she's central, yet the script is yours. Building on that foundation, let's explore how Machiavellian tactics intersect with the nuances of female psychology, particularly the interplay of desire and uncertainty. Women often navigate a world where emotional intelligence reigns, sensing insincerity from afar, yet craving the thrill of the unknown. Machiavelli's counsel to enter upon a new principality with the aid of the inhabitants translates here to enlisting her own desires as allies in your conquest. Start by fostering ambiguity. In initial interactions, be present yet elusive. Your messages or calls space to create anticipation, mirroring the prince's strategic retreats that lure enemies closer. Psychologically, this taps into dopamine releases associated with unpredictability, making each encounter a hit of excitement. Imagine a dinner date under soft ambient lighting, the clatter of plates fading as you lean in, sharing a story that reveals just enough vulnerability to humanize you a calculated risk, as Machiavelli advised, showing mercy to win loyalty. Her empathy engages, bonding hormones like oxytocin flooding her system. Yet you pivot swiftly to strength, recounting how you turned adversity to advantage with shrewd moves. This contradiction softness masking steel fascinates, as women evolve to value protectors who blend tenderness with resolve. Dominate emotionally by validating her feelings while subtly reshaping them. If she expresses doubt about her path, agree empathetically, then offer a perspective that aligns with your vision, planting seeds of transformation. Social tactics amplify this. Position yourself in her social circle indirectly, perhaps through mutual events, where observers' positive reactions reinforce your allure. Machiavelli's divide and conquer applies, highlight flaws in rivals subtly through anecdotes that contrast their predictability with your enigma. The immersion deepens as physical cues enter. A lingering touch on her arm during a laugh, eyes locking with intent, sinking breaths in conversations lulls. Her subconscious registers dominance, desire building like a storm. Extend this to longer arcs. After a passionate night, withdraw slightly, citing important matters, echoing the prince's feigned necessities to maintain power. She pursues her psychology wired for resolution, turning pursuit into habit. Layer in intellectual seduction. Discuss philosophy or art with depth, tying back to Machiavellian themes of power dynamics, making her feel intellectually stimulated. A rare commodity that binds emotionally. The flow remains fluid, each tactic weaving into the next, creating a tapestry of influence where she believes the desire is mutual, yet the reins are yours. Now, intensifying the narrative. Consider the art of emotional domination through Machiavellian lenses, where control stems from understanding and exploiting innate human frailties. Women, shaped by societal and biological pressures, often seek emotional depth amid superficial interactions. A void you fill with precision. Machiavelli's maxim that men are driven by two principal impulses, either by love or by fear, adapts here to desire or dread of loss. Cultivate the former while hinting at the latter, embodying relationships, shower attention that feels bespoke, remember details from past talks, surprise with gestures tied to her passions, like a book on the topic she mentioned fleetingly. This builds emotional debt, her reciprocity instinctive, yet interspersed with calculated indifference, a delayed response, a cancelled plan reframed as unavoidable. instilling subtle fear of detachment. Psychologically, this activates attachment systems, her mind fixating on regaining your focus. Immerse in scenarios. A walk through autumn leaves crunching underfoot, wind carrying scents of earth and spice, where you probe her fears and dreams, responding with insights that position you as confidant and guide. Domination emerges subtly steer conversations to topics where your expertise shines, making her defer naturally. Tactically, use mirroring. Adopt her body language. Echo her phrases with twists, forging subconscious rapport. Extend to group settings. At parties, engage others while keeping her in periphery. Her jealousy, a tool to heighten desire. Machiavelli's alliances apply befriend her friends, turning them into unwitting endorsers. The psychological intensity peaks in intimate moments. During closeness, whisper affirmations laced with possession, like "you're mine in ways you don't yet know," blending romance with control. Her emotions swirl, desire morphing into need under your orchestration. Rhythmically, balance intensity with levity. After deep talks, inject humor, preventing overload while maintaining engagement. This fluidity ensures immersion, her world revolving around the emotional highs you provide. Tactics evolving with her responses for seamless domination. Pushing further into tactical depth, social maneuvers inspired by Machiavelli offer potent tools for manipulating desire in broader contexts. The Princess of Ice to keep the people satisfied parallels maintaining a woman's social validation while subtly isolating rivals. Begin with environmental control. Choose venues that enhance your aura, intimate bars with dim lighting, where conversations feel conspiratorial, or cultural events showcasing your sophistication. Psychologically, women respond to status cues. Position yourself as the hub, introducing her to influential circles that reflect well on her choice. Contradict this with private intensity, away from crowds. Reveal layers that make her feel uniquely chosen, creating a duality of public admiration and personal intimacy. Emotionally dominate by addressing insecurities head-on. If she doubts her worth, counter with evidence from your perspective, reframing her self-view to depend on your affirmation. Tactically, employ the fortress strategy, build emotional walls she scales, each concession a victory that binds her closer. In conflicts, Machiavelli's feigned concessions shine, yield on minor points to win major ones, turning arguments into opportunities for deeper connection. Immersion heightens through shared experiences. Plan adventures that test boundaries, like spontaneous trips, where vulnerability forges bonds. Socially, sabotage competitors indirectly share stories of others' failings without naming, planting doubts. The narrative flows as you adapt. If she's independent, emphasize partnership. If needy, provide structure. Psychological layers unfold. Desire manipulated through consistent yet unpredictable reinforcement, ensuring her emotional investment grows unchecked. Refining these approaches, let's examine advanced psychological immersion, where Machiavellian principles fuse with cognitive biases to solidify control over desire. Confirmation bias plays key. Once she views you favorably, interpret actions to reinforce that ambiguous behaviors become proofs of devotion. Anchoring effect applies. Set high initial standards of excitement, making routine moments pale, drawing her back for more. Emotionally, dominate by creating dependency loops. Fulfill needs sporadically, her anticipation becoming addiction. Tactically, use narrative framing. Recount past relationships as lessons learned, positioning yourself as evolved, her as the beneficiary. Socially, leverage reciprocity. Small favors escalate to larger commitments, binding her through obligation laced with affection. The intensity builds in layered interactions. Texts that tease future plans, calls that delve into fantasies, meetings that realize them partially. Contradictions enrich. Be the rock in storms, yet the spark in calm. Mirroring Machiavelli's versatile prince. Immersive details, scents, touches, words, etch memories, her psyche rewired to crave your presence. Fluidity ensures no stagnation. Evolve tactics with her growth, maintaining the upper hand in this dance of desire. As we culminate this exploration, the threads of Machiavellian strategy, psychological insight, emotional domination, and social tactics weave into a transformative tapestry. You've journeyed from shadowy encounters to masterful orchestrations, seeing how desire, once understood, becomes the ultimate lever for influence. This isn't about fleeting conquests, but profound shifts in how you navigate human connections, turning vulnerabilities into strengths, uncertainties into certainties. Emotionally, it leaves you empowered, no longer at mercy of whims, but architect of outcomes. The synthesis reveals a core truth. True power lies in subtlety, in guiding desires without apparent force, fostering bonds that feel destined yet are deliberately crafted. Reflect on that Florentine night, the woman drawn inexorably, her world reshaped, and recognize the potential within you to wield similar artistry. This knowledge transforms not just interactions with women, but your entire approach to ambition, resilience, and legacy. Embrace it and watch as doors once closed swing wide, desires aligning with your will in a symphony of strategic mastery. If this dive into the shadows of influence resonated with you, hit that like button to show your appreciation. It's the spark that fuels more content like this. Subscribe now and turn on notifications so you never miss another deep exploration into the art of power and desire. Drop a comment below. What's one tactic you'll apply from this? Share this video with a friend who needs to level up their game. Together, we unlock these timeless secrets. Your engagement keeps the conversation alive. Let's build this community of strategic minds.